A nominating committee is a must for branches to ensure effective leadership. And effective leadership is a must for branches to be successful. The nominating committee should be a full-time job and a standing committee. It should focus on developing successors and identifying them for future officer roles by giving them training opportunities. Also, of course, they are responsible for putting together the slate of officers. If a branch waits too long, it tends to take the expedient route. It finds a guy who's willing to take the job and puts him in the job. This rarely works. It's much better to have a planned approach to it coming from your nominating committee. Our vignette focuses on the ideal nominating committee. It's a far cry from what usually happens in the typical situation. But with training and commitment, it can happen in your branch. We have Jim, the director of the nominating committee, and Larry, a nominating committee member, who is also an influential member of the branch.
Can you believe it, Jim? Here it is January, and we already have a number of candidates that might fill our vacancies in both our officers and our directors.
Having already developed a partial list of potential candidates gives us a big jump on the effort.
I understand that we need to have new members represented on the branch executive committee, but we also want to have seasoned leadership members of our branch. The requirement to have new members makes sense since over a third of our membership has only been around for 3 years.
And our nominating committee covers all the bases. We've got the chairman of the golf committee, the assistant members relation chairman, the guy who runs Dine Out, and one of the wine tasting groups. You're an outgoing director, and I'm a past Big Sur.
As I understand it, we need to re-elect all of our officers and directors every year, even though some of the positions serve for 2 years. Most of the officers are willing to serve another year, so we only need to recruit a new little sir, an assistant treasurer, and 3 members of the branch executive committee. One of the guys we talked to last year about serving on the BEC has indicated that this year he may be able to do it. That's one down.
I have a list of candidates we reviewed last year. You remember we placed a request for volunteers in the October bulletin. Well, we have the names and backgrounds of 3 members who responded, and Ed has a list of newer members from the latest 4 years. We want to have a third of our members in the BEC represented by new members. After all, half our members have only been with the branch for 5 years, and they have different ideas and interests we want to use.
The newer member list has their name, their sponsor, last company, and occupation. It also includes their activities and leadership roles. There are several sirs with accounting or financial experience on this list, and we could interview their sponsors and friends to list 3 or 4 candidates for assistant treasurer.
Could another of these members serve as a director? Let's get the rest of the nominating committee and bring them up to speed. Then take a look at both lists to select 3 or 4 members for further research. That would leave us to find a little sir candidate.
We pick up the recruiting effort a couple of weeks later.
Well, it looks like we've got 2 great candidates for the little sir position. Now all we have to do is convince them to accept it, but then again, that's the hard part.
I remember state training went into a 4-step process to recruit leaders. Let's take a look at that on the state website.
4 proven steps to recruit leaders. 4 steps? Do we have to do them all?
I remember something about following it to the letter. I guess we should try it. What's it say?
Here are the 4 steps: people, preparation, appointment, and presentation.
What's people say? Haven't we covered all that already?
It says get 2 or 3 prospects, rank them, and then assume that they won't accept.
That makes sense. What else?
We need 2 or 3 guys to handle the presentation. They should include such qualifications as knowing the candidate and the job, be respected in the branch, and be able to overcome the candidate's objections.
Kind of a salesman type.
Yes. Then we move on to the preparation step. We need a job description, a list of reasons the guy will object, and counters to that.
Again, this is a lot of work, but the job is a key one, so it's worth it. What's next?
The guy who knows best needs to make the appointment.
It looks like we don't want to get drawn into the offer on the telephone, and we know that scenario rarely works.
That's true. They want the contact guys to arrive at the appointment together. I guess they don't want one guy on the hook to make small talk and get the meeting off on the wrong foot.
They've got scripted opening comments, and they seem to make sense. Someone will have to memorize them.
Ha! That'll leave out a lot of our members.
Just like any big sales presentation, listen, deal with the objections, assure the availability of support, and ask for the sale. If he doesn't say yes, talk about his objections and try to counter them. We need to think about some likely objections so we can be prepared.
What if he still refuses?
Thank him and discuss other openings. Then repeat the process.
We hope you enjoyed our little show, and we encourage you to try it. This process has been used by the Boy Scouts of America for a number of years in recruiting scoutmasters and other key volunteers. Now let's move on to our learning points. Don't make leader recruiting an event. It needs to be a year-round effort. Staff your nominating committee with members who are respected, know a number of other members, keep an updated candidate list, and supplement it with volunteers and newer members. Elect all branch officers and directors annually, even if the position is multi-year. Ensure your candidate list has newer members included, with their name, date joined, sponsor, last company, occupation, branch activities, and leadership roles. Use the 4 proven steps to recruit leaders. It focuses on people, preparation, appointment, and presentation. If the candidate doesn't accept, thank him and talk about other positions he might fill.